chocolate ice cream, chocolate fudge, and chocolate chips. You're not depressed, are you?
I'm fine, Commander.
Would you like me to leave you two alone?
No, you can join us.
No, thanks. I don't like fudge.
Really? I never met a chocolate I didn't like.
Doesn't it taste good?
Of course it does, but it's not just a matter of taste. It's the whole experience. First of all, you have to spoon the fudge around the rim, leaving only the ice cream in the middle. Then you gently spoon the ice cream around the sides, like you're sculpting it. Relish every bite. Make every one an event. And then, with the last spoonful, close your eyes.
I had no idea it was such a ritual.
Chocolate is a serious thing.
Chewing on a piece of grass, walking down the road. Tell me, how long you gonna stay here, Joe? Some people say this town don't look good in snow. You don't care, I know. Ventura Highway in the sunshine, where the days are longer, the nights are stronger than moonshine. You're gonna go, I know. Cause the free wind is blowing through your hair, and the days surround your daylight there. Seasons crying, no despair. Alligator lizards in the air, in the air.
From the city of Boston, it's Sunday, September 1st, 2013. Hello, I'm Neshoba, and won't you talk with me about video games? Coming up later in the show is game designer and writer for Stillalive Studios, Ricardo Valenzuela from Guayaquil, Ecuador. But first, here's something we think you'll really like. So this just in from Woutini's Facebook timeline. He says, forget Cards Against Humanity, this should be the next party game. And it's a graphic, I'm going to click on that. And it says, direct from a 1956 school book. So this Billy Foster claims, this guy that I guess he originally shared it. So there's a picture, and it's of 4 school children. They're sitting in chairs. There's 3 boys, 1 girl that's kind of giggling to herself, and then a 5th child. I guess it's a girl. Because she has a bit of an upskirt shot there. She's just on all 4s and looking up at one of the boys for some reason. I don't know. Okay, so let's read what this graphic has to say. Poor pussy. The children are seated in a circle. One child who is chosen to be, quote, poor pussy, stands in the center. Poor pussy. Okay. Poor pussy kneels before some child and okay, alright. Poor pussy kneels before some child and meows 3 times. Every time he meows, the child whom he is facing must say, quote, poor pussy, without laughing. If he laughs, he becomes poor pussy. If he doesn't laugh, If he laughs, he becomes poor pussy. If he doesn't laugh, if he doesn't laugh, the pussy must try someone else.
Mr. Humphreys, leave my pussy alone.
And we're back! Joining me tonight is Ricardo Valenzuela. Ricardo is a game designer and writer for Stillalive Studios. He is currently one of only 3 game devs in Ecuador. He joins us from his home in Guayaquil. Ricardo, hello.
Hello,
Hello.
how are you?
I'm okay.
How's it been?
Been alright. Are you at home right now, or where are you?
Yeah, I'm at home.
No, you're at
I'm
home.
I'm in front of my computer.
Oh, okay.
Why?
Oh, no. I saw the where exactly are you?
In my room.
No. Yeah, your room. Like, what city are you in right now?
Guayaquil.
Oh, Guayaquil. Okay. Because it said something different when you were sending me messages on Facebook.
What did it say?
It said was it Samborodon or something like that?
Oh yeah. That's the. So Guayaquil is the city,
Uh-huh.
and San Borondon is a. I don't know exactly if it is a city next to Guayaquil that is just apart, separated by a bridge,
Uh-huh.
a bridge.
Uh-huh.
Or it is part of Guayaquil. I'm not really sure. I think
Uh-huh.
it's. I've always thought that it was part of Guayaquil, but it was a little bit farther away.
Mm.
But the other day I heard is another city, but I don't know.
Oh.
I know nothing.
You know nothing.
Yeah, I don't know. I know nothing about my country.
Oh no. I'm sure you know. I'm sure you know enough to give me some sort of insight during this episode. So,
Well, at least from my small little bubble point of view,
uh-huh.
I can, of course.
Why do you feel that you have a small little bubble point of view?
Well, because basically over here there's a lot of class separation,
Mm.
economic class separation, and I live in a part of the city that is separated from the city itself, and basically it has almost everything you need.
Mm.
So I kind of like live in a bubble.
Mm.
So, and it's like, I don't know if I'm using this reference in a good way, but it's a tale of 2 cities. I live in the upper class, so I have a different reality than the ones living in the lower class.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I don't see crime that often. Maybe the ones in the lower class areas do every day or something.
So it's separated by neighborhoods, the upper and the lower classes.
Yeah, of course, there are high neighborhoods, low neighborhoods, middle neighborhoods, and it's well known what places are kind of dangerous at night or stuff like that.
Okay.
Like the typical thing, what street you are on, and you said like hide your phone while driving, because there's sometimes people that go, in the red light and knock your window with a gun and tell you to give them your things. So you hide your stuff while driving sometimes.
Has this ever happened to you or somebody that you know?
Yes, once happened to me. I was like in this. There's like a highway that goes around the city to make it like a shortcut.
Mm-hmm.
So you go from one point to the other through a highway. And there was once this time that we were like stuck in traffic in this highway.
Mm-hmm.
Between buses, so there wasn't a way to move.
Mm-hmm.
And it was raining, but I saw this guy coming towards us from the gutter, I think it's called, from the sidewalk.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew at once that something fishy was going to happen. So I just threw my phone under the car seat, and they knocked the window with a gun. And the friend of mine that was driving, he rolled down the window, and he was like, "Give us all your stuff and shit and stuff like that." And at one point, he pointed the gun at me because he wanted. I haven't given him anything, so I gave him my wallet that luckily only had like $1, and at the same time, as when I was handing it my wallet, I slided my credit card and debit card out of it without him noticing. Like using both hands, I gave it, and with the other one, I slide them out. And then he went away, and when we reached home, I was like, I didn't lose anything. I had my phone, I had my credit cards. The only thing I had to do was go out and get my ID, a new ID, and a new driver's license. But everyone else had lost their phones and stuff.
Oh.
But yeah, I was lucky enough.
Yeah, that's pretty scary.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know, because I don't remember how I felt during that. I think I wasn't scared. It was like, the rush of the moment. I couldn't be scared at the moment. I don't know. It was like unreal to me, so I didn't feel anything.
Yeah, the adrenaline does help.
Yes. And since I didn't lose anything, I didn't feel bad afterwards either, so I felt bad for the other people in the car, but...
And what sort of circumstances makes a person lower class versus upper class in Ecuador?
What do you mean?
Is it a matter of, because is it more like a race, or is it just like your family is born into more wealth, or what sort of?
Well, basically the classes are separated by how much wealth you have, how wealthy you are, but it's common that the lower class is not white, because usually the higher class are families that came from other countries. So you can know that because of their last name. And since they came from, I don't know, a European country or something like that, they are white. They have money because they made their companies in here. Companies that, of course, didn't exist before or didn't have enough competition to not make them become rich. And that's why you usually see that the higher class is white. But of course, there are some times that there is, new money, so to say, and it's colored people, and they have money, and they live in a high class area and stuff like that. And which is totally okay. But of course, there are racist people here too that they call them cholo because of their skin or something like that. But it's, for me at least, it is highly unusual because our country is racist, but not in a hatred racist kind of way. More in like it's more like it's just given. It's like it's normal. It's not hateful, and it's not.
It's sort of expected.
It's not like it's expected, but it's never taken as something bad.
So going back to your first experiences with video games, you've talked, especially I think it was it's not in the dev diaries, but it's in they're in sort of like the developer bios, the video clips that you have, where you say that you watched your brother play Doom on the Sega Genesis. Now between then and then, like when you first picked up games, like what was it like watching your brother actually play these games? Were you starting to pick up on English? Were you starting to just learning to see what you like in games?
Well, I would lie to you if I knew the exact answer, because I don't remember. I was really little. But what I can gather from my memories is that I really liked video games from the start. Maybe because just of the gameplay, maybe because of this cool little figures moving in the screen that I was, I had the power over them.
Mm-hmm.
I could do that, and even if I didn't understood completely the story, I liked watching that because I also like watching people that know how to play video games.
Mm-hmm.
Usually I get stressed with people that don't know what to do next or stuff like that, and it's pretty obvious.
Mm-hmm.
But when people do know how to play video games, I like to watch them. Like if someone's playing, like, I don't know, Resident Evil, and I like to be an observant,
Yeah.
an observer. And well, the thing is that when I was little, my brother had a Nintendo. He also had a Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, and that Sega handheld. I don't remember the name.
There's the Game Gear, and
Yeah,
then
the
there's
Game
the
Gear.
Nomad,
He
which
had.
played
I
the
remember
Genesis
he had
games.
more. Sorry, what?
There was the Game Gear that played like just the regular handheld games, but then they also had a Nomad, which would play Genesis games.
I think it was the Game Gear. I remember he had like Mortal Kombat in there.
Okay.
So I like watching him play. I usually sucked at them because I was like 8, 7 years old,
Mm.
and I always played Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter against him. I watched him play Doom, and I actually remember getting scared of Doom. And now, if you see Doom's graphics before, I don't know what my imagination was doing with me, but
Uh-huh.
yeah, I don't know how I got scared out of that. And, eventually I started playing more and more. And my own real, for me, not my brother's console, was the Nintendo 64.
Mhm.
And also not only my brother played, but also my cousins. They now live in United States, so I don't play with them anymore. But I used to go to their home a lot and play with them.
Uh-huh.
I remember playing with them the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the one that got remade.
Okay.
Also the Power Rangers movie game, which was awesome.
Uh-huh.
And other games. I remember they had the PlayStation 1, and they played. I played with them Tekken 3 and stuff like that. We always used to fight. One of my cousins was always first player, and we always fought about that. And the typical thing that when some of them were losing, they either shut down the console and said it was their home and stuff like that, or they wouldn't give the control because it was theirs.
Uh-huh.
Those kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I had the Nintendo 64, I had Smash Brothers, I had Jet Force Gemini and stuff like that. But I don't think I really, really understood games until the GameCube. I remember that I was playing Star Fox Adventures, and I was thinking that I really understood everything I had to do. I didn't had to rely on just clicking around stuff, pressing buttons, but I really understood what I had to do next. And I think that's when I really had a better grasp of the English, because over here we didn't get games in Spanish like people in Spain do,
Uh-huh.
because there's no official distributors of anything in here. So everything we get is from United States in an overpriced manner. And there was also piracy, especially for the PlayStation, because there weren't pirate cartridges,
Yeah.
pirated cartridges. So
Yeah.
in the PlayStation 1, we could play in Spanish certain games, especially the ones based on movies like Harry Potter and stuff. But those games were boring for me.
Yeah.
So, anyways, in the GameCube, I remember that was the first time I really understood games and what I had to do, and the feedback that the game gave me, or the missions, or the descriptions and stuff. And I think that is mostly thanks to the fact that I played video games. I used the video games to learn English. I asked my brother what something meant, or because of the context, I knew what something meant. Of course, it's pretty common to go to be in a bilingual school in here, but I think that my English was better than usual because of the games. And okay, so I started understanding games and I also started being more observant of them. Since I was also observant before, I think, because since I didn't know English, I had to do guesswork
Uh-huh.
of why of the things. If this thing shines, what does it mean? If this thing is flickering or moving or something like that, what does it mean? And I think that really helped me to eventually become a game designer, because that made me grow up and become an observant person when playing video games. So I not only I don't know if I get immersed a lot but into games, but I am always like observing, okay, why is the UI like this? Why the developers decided to do this and that and all of that. And that's pretty important, to observe a lot and know what is trending and know what people have done and what works and what not.
Right.
Which I think, I'm not wanting to assume, but I think that if you live in the United States, you speak English, you have easy access to this kind of stuff and understand everything that is told to you. It's really easy to, just play the game, get immersed, and not really be observant. But if you have all these walls of language, of, how does this work? I have to really pay my money and get this. Ask people that travel to the United States to buy this for me. It's because you really want it. And you pay a lot of attention and treat this thing with care. So I think that's one of the reasons of why I am where I am today.
Yeah. Have you have you had the chance to play any Japanese games? Any games in Japanese?
No.
No.
I mean, I have played Japanese JRPGs, but I haven't played any game in Japanese that I remember of. Maybe maybe in the PlayStation Super Nintendo era, not sure. But today, no, because I don't know Japanese and I'm already past the stage of clicking everywhere and stuff. When I don't find in a game what's the next step I have to take, which means that I will have to explore a huge overworld and stuff like that, I consider that game a little bit flawed, because games have evolved. Even though in its time going through the whole overworld in Final Fantasy VII may have been cool, I think today it isn't. It's more of a cheap way to make you spend more time on the game, and it's a flaw, because you can't say that a movie that was made in the 60s or the 70s is going to have a good effect on today's people, right? It's just not. It's not going to be really. If you make a movie like in that era, you won't be successful, because movies are not like that anymore. So I think it's the same. Applies the same to games. Who reads a book today that is written in the way that it was written like 100 years ago? No one will buy that, or not no one, but it won't be as successful because it's not readable anymore. It's not enjoyable, the language or whatever. So it's the same with games. For me, when I find those kinds of flaws, it's something that makes me say, okay, I won't enjoy this game anymore. And one of the games that made me feel like that not long ago was Final Fantasy: The Four Heroes of Light for Nintendo DS. It never was clear what you had to do next. Sometimes you finished like part of the story and okay, what I have to do now? And I searched a walkthrough and I had to go and sleep in the inn to continue the story.
Yeah.
And since when you have to do that in Final Fantasy? The inn is just to heal up, regen mana. Why do I have to do that? And why isn't like a quest log or something like that? What if I stopped playing a long time ago and I'm retaking it? I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't know what to do next. And I thought that was a flaw in the game. And I ended up playing the game with a walkthrough made on GameFAQs, which made it not enjoyable. Although I really liked the combat system and I really liked the style, but other than that, I didn't enjoy the game that much.
As a designer, do you feel like there's sort of a balancing act that's going on between how much you hold the hand of the player versus how much you leave it up to their own exploration?
Yes, I think so. I think there's a problem in the present where triple A's try to handle the hand of the player too much,
Hmm.
which is, I think it's done so the video game has a bigger market. More people can play it because not everyone is the same. Not everyone can understand everything, and
Hmm.
not everyone is fully capable of their own bodies. Handicapped people and stuff,
Yeah,
and even handicap of the mind, so to say.
yeah.
So I think that it's done that way because of those things,
Hmm.
to have a bigger market. But at the same time, that makes the player have more expectations or expect that more. At least I think the majority.
Hmm.
There are peoples that are vocal about this. Why you hold our hands too much, but I think it has become so common that people expect it. So when you find a game where you have to use your logic, like for
Uh,
example, I have the power of fire, and I know that in real life fire burns stuff, and I don't know, a barricade in front of me,
mhm.
but I don't know what to do next. And you go to a game facts or something, and it says you have to use your firepower to burn the barricade. You think like, oh, duh, like why I didn't think about that. It's because we are
Uh-huh.
used to that now. We're used to tooltips that tell us you can burn things with your fire. It's like, yeah, so I think that's a problem. But there's a reason behind it, to get more people to play your game because everyone can understand it.
Mhm.
But it also creates the problem of people getting not dumber because no one gets dumber,
Mhm.
but people stop thinking because they expect the game to play itself.
Okay.
So that's a problem, I think.
Yeah.
So you have to give a balance. You have to try to let the player understand your game, but not make it too easy. Because if you make it too easy, then where's the challenge?
Yeah.
Why you play the game?
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, there has to be a balance, basically.
And going back to when you were younger, you mentioned going to your cousin's house and things like that. Were you able to make any friends at school that through playing video games together?
Well, yeah, I mean, I did have some friends where that I could go to their homes and play, but that was mostly when I was 11 or 12 or below that age.
Mm.
Um, After that, I changed schools quite a lot. Well, not a lot. Like I changed in the middle school. I changed because my school was going to close, so I
Mm.
had to change somewhere else. Then when I was going to high school, I changed somewhere else because the school I was in wasn't that big, so they didn't have high school.
Mm.
And then in the mid of high school, I changed again because I didn't like my school.
Mm.
It's not like in United States that you have public school and they are divided by middle school, high school, or whatever. In here, usually schools have all the grades.
Okay.
So yeah, so usually there are cases where a person goes to first grade, when they're little to this school, and they even graduate high school in the same one. So that's very common here. And I changed like 4 times from school, so I had to make new friends. Usually, I lost contact with some of the ones that were from the other schools.
Mm.
And when you grow up and go to these schools where people have been there forever, they usually already have their own friends. So it's not like they need new ones. And as they grow up over here, they have the mentality that games are for children. So some people start just talking about going out or who's the boyfriend of whom, or
Uh-huh.
whatever, or um, drinking or smoking, or playing Yu-Gi-Oh cards in the recess. It's for nerds and it's for losers.
Yeah.
And sadly, the last school I was, the last one, no, the one before the last one,
Mm-hmm.
the other nerds were very crappy people. Like I wouldn't know it, but they were stealing my Yu-Gi-Oh cards when I wasn't watching.
Oh no.
And those were people that I had to socialize with if I wanted to play Yu-Gi-Oh or stuff like that. But it's not like people that I wanted to be friends with,
Mm-hmm.
because they weren't like my kind of people in the terms of they were shady and they stole and they were little criminals. So I didn't want to mingle with them, but I had to if I wanted to play.
Uh-huh.
So I didn't. I even now I can't really say I have lasting friends from school.
Okay.
I don't have friends. Let's cry.
Oh, well, you have Paquito.
Yeah, I have my little pug. I have him. He can watch me play.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but I don't have. At least in my, you know, but some of those people that I didn't want to become friends with, they were friends within themselves, and
Yeah.
I don't understand why. I mean, they like to be among shady people that steal and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe yes, I don't know, but I wasn't that kind of person, so I didn't stuck with them.
Okay. Now, you mentioned Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Now, how I know that distribution for like actual video games, there's a huge challenge there. But as far as a game like Yu-Gi-Oh, or did you have distribution of the Pokemon trading cards?
No, no, no. Never, never. There are never official distributors here. What happens is that you usually, or at least feels like that,
Uh-huh.
someone opens up a store of
Uh-huh.
a certain thing. Could be video games, or could be trading cards, or could
Uh-huh.
be. There was this place I used to go that was called Manga Place, and they had manga, they had comics, they had toys, they had several stuff, but including Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Uh-huh.
And what I felt they did is that someone traveled to the United States, bought a bunch of stuff, and just brought it up here, and added like and some make it more expensive so they
Yeah.
have something to earn.
Yeah.
And I think it was always like that. For example, video games here cost around $100, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But I guess it costs that because there's no official distributor, and there are also taxes to those kind of products, which for me it's stupid because no one else produces that here.
Yeah.
So why would it have taxes? But anyways, since they cost $100 over $100 and stuff, even a PlayStation 3 was like $1,000 when it came out, which is crazy.
Yeah.
What happens is that's the reason of why piracy is big here, because people can't afford that kind of things, and they become high luxury, and that also creates the perception that games are for children, or games are some stupid thing that you spend a lot of money on, because
Yeah.
they are not they don't have the right price for our markets. If a game in United States costs $60, in Ecuador it should cost 30. I
Yeah.
know it's low, but we can probably afford $30 and have constant buyers, because I don't know what's the minimum wage in the place you live in Boston.
It depends on the job. I mean, you could find a low paying job is either between $7 to $10.
Yeah, but you're talking about hours, right? How much is that in a month? Because
Oh,
we well, let me.
probably about $2,000.
Okay, so you get $2,000 a month, and that's like the minimum, right?
Yeah.
our minimum wage, we use dollars too, American dollars. Our minimum wage is like $320. So can you imagine someone paying $60, $100 for a game? No.
So that's wait, that's $320 a month.
Yeah, that's the minimum wage.
Okay.
And sometimes people get paid less, and because they're not the laws in here are not like over there. It's not as easy to sue someone or complain and be a winner. There's a lot of nepotism here and corruption. So it's if someone fires you and doesn't even give you a severance check, you don't even think about doing like suing him or something, because you will probably lose more money or stuff. Just swallow it and look for a new job.
Yeah.
So like if the minimum wage is 320 or something like that, how do you expect someone to buy a game for $100? No one will do it.
No.
Of course, digital distribution has helped improved this.
Yeah.
People now can download it and stuff, but it's still $60 is a lot for a game. Yeah. And I even hear people in United States complaining that $60 is a lot. So imagine for us paying $100. And people do it. People do it because they want to play games, and they don't have other way of getting games. Not everyone has a cousin or an uncle flying to United States every twice a year or something that can bring you games. They sometimes have to pay that. And I used to do that before. I remember paying $100 for Far Cry 2 Far Cry something for the Wii, and it totally sucked. And I just spent $100 for a crappy game.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it sucks. And that's why there's no, I think there are a lot of gamers in South America. There are a huge quantity of gamers. And companies would eliminate easily the piracy here if they would price the games accordingly to our economic state.
Yeah.
If they come here and at least make it region locked, so United States people don't come here and buy the games. If you sell the games here at a reasonable price for us, piracy would be eliminated, at least by a lot. And because people do want to have the original stuff, people do want to have the case, the manual, the disc. They want to, but it's too expensive or too hard to get it.
Yeah.
So I think that would be nice.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons of, I don't feel like there are, including the fact that there's a lot of economic level separation. Usually the high class people stop playing games because they're for children, too expensive and stuff, and it's too bothersome to get piracy and stuff. So people stop playing or stop being interested in. And people from the lower class that are nearer and closer to piracy, they just pirate even more. And as I said, there's a economic class separation, and usually you don't like to mix because you don't have the same references, or you don't have the same access to different things. For example, even if you try to date someone from the lower class and you start speaking with them about Walking Dead or something like that, they wouldn't know what you're talking about because they don't watch that. They probably don't have internet in their homes. They probably live in a cane house, made of cane sticks.
Yeah.
Above the river or something like that. So that's one of the reasons of why people don't mix, because there's also crime and stuff. So that, I think, at least from my perspective, it's like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a disparity even within the country of like who has utilities, who has access to electricity and things like that.
Yeah. The lower class is the majority in Ecuador, but the higher class is what it's it's with the ones who have access to most of these luxuries. It's not uncommon to go into a low-class neighborhood and find that a cable comes out from an air conditioner that is somehow attached to a power line, so they are stealing electricity. That's not uncommon to find. It's also not, and there's also somehow a weird buyer behavior, consumer behavior in the low class. I think they sometimes don't spend their money to improve their lives, but they sometimes want, I don't know what's the reason. Maybe they want to feel better or they want to feel like they have luxury. But you sometimes can find in those cane houses above the river, you find, like stereo sets, flat screen TVs, and they are in high depth. Because there are also these appliances stores that sell these things to them, and charge over time. And they have people that are in charge of going to the houses of these people and charge to tell them to pay them and stuff. It works like that, and it's really funny because they are living in a cane house that could fall in at any moment, but they have a flat screen TV. Although they don't have cable, so it's not good because the national TV is not HD, so it doesn't make any sense, but they do it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird.
Yeah, and then for somebody in the United States, when we look towards South America, we see that Brazil is it's starting to have a little bit more of an industry going. Probably the video game situation in Brazil is emerging, if not improving. So I think that the inclination for us looking towards South America is like, well, Brazil is doing this, so the whole of the continent must be doing better. But how much of an impact would that have in Ecuador?
I'm really not sure, but I would say none, because when I hear like Brazil is getting this and that, I'm not surprised, or like I consider Brazil basically another world. First, they speak another language, and which the country is huge next to Ecuador, so. I guess there's a bigger market there, so that's why they go there. And I mean, I don't think that having official distribution and stuff in Brazil will affect other Spanish-speaking countries in Latin America that much. And even if they try to bring Spanish stuff, it's always Spaniard Spanish.
Yeah.
So it doesn't feel good for us. It doesn't feel right because it's another accent. Is I feel like the Brazil thing may be a foot on the door, but it's not like a big change for us because they speak Portuguese, so it's another world. I mean they do have stuff for Mexico, but that's up there right next to the United States. So, and it's a big country, so I still don't know why they don't invest in Latin America, because even though we are not as big as those countries, but as a whole, I think we are big enough, and there are a lot of gamers. And if they did a good marketing strategy, maybe, as I said, region lock it and lower the prices, they would definitely get money from us. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of interesting. I mean, you're speaking of region locking, because usually when the question of region locking comes up, for us in America, or in the first episode with Igor, when I asked him about region locking, he said that it was crap. But when you're talking about region locking, it seems like it would actually be helpful in your situation, because you wouldn't have people from the United States exploiting the content that's distributed more towards the resources that the people have. You would want the prices based on the resources that the people have, and then region lock it for South America, so that other regions couldn't exploit that.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
it seems like there are some positives to actually having the region locking.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, always we always get those perspective from a first world view. You know, like people in the United States saying no, regional lock sucks, blah blah blah. Europe, people in Europe saying that too. But when have you gone out and asked someone living in South America what they think about region locking and how could it hurt us or help us?
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean, if you have the sources, if a job, if in United States a job that makes you mop the floor gives you what at least $1,000 a month,
Yeah.
like, and over here mopping floors gives you like $100 a month, is it's there's a big difference.
Hmm.
And always all the people that live in a different kind of world are they talk as if they would represent the whole planet, and it's not like that, you know and that's also a problem. But these companies always aim to the bigger market, of course. It makes sense. And they are also from those countries, so it makes sense that they do stuff for their own big market, own country. So it makes sense. I mean, yeah, it wouldn't make sense to invest in a market that wouldn't give profit, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I think if they tried or they looked for a way, it would be beneficial for both.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And you talked about the upper class looking down on games as something that's kind of meant for children. Among the people that do play games, do you feel like there is maybe a sort of like elitism, like we have in the United States? We have sort of like the hardcore gamer versus the casual, which is sometimes it's usually the hardcore gamer would be more the person that plays like Call of Duty, or in the United States it'd be Madden, maybe in other parts of the world it'd be Call of Duty and FIFA. I mean, do you have that sort of elitism in between gamers?
Not really. I mean, we know the terms because we read websites from the United States and
Hmm.
stuff. But I think there are three kinds of people. The people that play,
Hmm.
the people that don't play, and the people that only plays FIFA and Call of Duty
Hmm.
and maybe Winning 11.
Hmm.
They those people that play Call of Duty, Winning 11, and FIFA, we don't consider them gamers because if they play those games, they are just playing it because I mean, we don't consider them gamers because they just play that. That's it. That's it. They
Hmm.
just play that. They just play football, and then after playing football in the PlayStation, they go out into the field and play soccer. Well, when I say football, I mean soccer, by the way. So they
Yeah.
play FIFA and then go out and play soccer in real life. So they are just, we are a country that likes soccer a lot.
Hmm.
So I feel that they just play that because they like soccer, not because they are really into video games.
Hmm.
So yeah, basically that. The people that play, the people that don't, and the people that play Winning 11 and FIFA.
Yeah.
Hmm. Oh, and now, of course, there's the people that play Candy Crush and stuff like that. That when you ask them, "Do you play video games?" and they say, "No, I don't play video games," but they do. They just don't realize it.
Oh, okay. So the devices, the smartphones and tablets and things like that. How is that distribution? Is that becoming more prevalent in Ecuador?
Yes, that's another weird thing of Ecuador. Everyone has a cell phone, and everyone wants to have the latest one. We are, at least in Guayaquil, we are the people that always likes the latest stuff,
Yeah.
and including the lower class, they prioritize having a cell phone over maybe eating some meat instead of just rice or something like that. So everyone has a cell phone. Maybe not everyone has internet in it, like not I don't mean Wi-Fi. I mean like internet service.
Hmm.
and everyone eventually downloads one or two free games or stuff like that, like maybe free Angry Birds or free Candy Crush and stuff. I don't think people here spend that much people spend money on the free to play games, but surely they play free to play games for free.
Have you ever thought about developing your own mobile game based upon this?
Yeah, before I joined Still Life Studios, I tried to create my own games with other people, with people that I know that knows programming. I had the idea to create some games that had a free-to-play monetization system, but since those groups failed, I never got to make them. I never got to make them, and free to play or mobile games is not something I'm really passionate about. It's not they are not really games I want to play. So if I have the chance to make other kind of games like Son of Nor, I prefer doing those. So eventually, probably I will have to do one of those kind of games because it's a business. But if I can avoid them, I will. I love, at least for me, I know that the free to play system is somewhat successful if done well. But I'm the kind of person that like like premium games, like pay once, and that's it. Pay once and get everything or nothing.
So you don't even like the DLC model where you get the game and then maybe like later on you might get some.
No, DLC is okay when it feels like DLC, not like in other games that it mostly feels like they just cut out a part of the game and then sold it separately. But I do like DLC because if you really like the game and they develop more of it, then fine, you can pay and you can get it. You can get skins or other fighters or stuff if like maybe like Mortal Kombat and stuff. But with free to play where every once in a while you get a window that says, oh, you can pay real money if you do this, or maybe the progression system is super slow because you don't use real money. I don't like that. I mean, even if it's balanced and it's fair, I just don't like it. I feel like if I don't spend money on the game, and I don't want to spend money on a free game because I feel like if I go down that road, I may never come out.
Yeah.
So I prefer just maybe like a massive multiplayer with a $15 fee, or just pay once and play forever.
Yeah. So give me one game where DLC was done right, and then another game where DLC was done completely wrong.
Let me think, because to say the truth, I haven't downloaded that much DLC. I think that DLC done wrong was. I think it was Assassin's Creed 2. They felt I think there were like stories about historic characters, but they felt really short and they didn't feel like anything special. They just feel like any other kind of mission. Done right, I would say maybe Heavy Rain. They only had one DLC, which totally sucked. I was expecting for more, but this DLC was another story. The main character is a journalist, and she went into she was investigating this guy that was she I don't know, had a lead that he was some kind of murderer, and you entered, and he was like taxidermist. And you entered his house while he was away, and you eventually found these corpses that were, in poses and stuff. It was really creepy, and I thought it was really cool because it felt like a story that wasn't that was new, that wasn't necessarily attached to the main story, but it still had continuity because it had the main characters. it was like another event in the life of this character, and it was really interesting. It was done well. It was fun, and I thought it was great. Yeah, Heavy Rain good. Assassin's Creed 2 bad.
That's concise.
What?
I said that's concise. That's a pretty good short way of saying it. So looking to the future, I know that you have like you have an idea of like doing like Spanish language content as far as like a podcast or things like that. I know that you want to get a local gamer group going. I know that you kind of want to get some sort of like local gaming community going. What do you feel are like kind of the promises going forward?
Well,
The potential.
I started talking with someone that lives in the United States and it's originally from Mexico, and we are planning to do a podcast in Spanish, from a Spanish Latin American perspective, and hopefully it happens. We have planned a little bit there and stuff. We are planning on starting early next month. Hopefully it's something that happens and it's continuous. We have, but just that's that for now. Then once I came back from GamerX and you helped me join all these Facebook groups for gay gamers and stuff, I decided to make my own, Ecuadorian gamers. And I started adding people that I knew that were gay and played games, and they added other people, and now it has like 25 members.
Oh wow!
And it's kind of active. People talk, people post stuff, mostly Pokemon stuff, and out of that, a Skype group was created. We are a total of 5 people in the Skype group, and almost every day we play League of Legends. It's a free-to-play game, which I wouldn't play if I was alone, but since they play that, I do that too.
Yeah.
So that's the only free-to-play game that I currently play.
Okay.
So I think that's nice. I mean, from nothing to having a group where we Skype and talk and play League of Legends, I think it's quite nice. I mean, that group mostly have people that I already knew or had contact with before, but we regained contact. We talk more now. It feels nice. It feels like there's a community or there's a community starting there, and it feels nice to have other people from your same city playing with you when before that didn't happen.
Yeah. Well, see, now you have friends.
Yeah, now I have friends. I don't have to be sad anymore and cry every day.
So seeing as your group, they mostly post Pokemon stuff, I do have to kind of tie this into current events just a little bit. How did they receive the 2DS?
So I was the one that posted about the 2DS in the group, and I think it was mixed. One person said it was a cheap way for Nintendo to bleed more money from people. But the thing is that I think he didn't get that the reason of why the 2DS was like that is to make it cheaper so other people can get it. And well, he complained about not having a stereo but only mono sound unless you use the earbuds. And another person said the design was ugly, but yet again another person said that it was cool, that it was pretty, that one person forgot his 3DS on the plane, so he wanted to get a new one for Pokemon. So he said, "Oh, this is nice. Now I will get this one, and it will be cheaper."
Yeah.
So I personally like the new 2DS. I like it. I think the design is interesting. If you don't like it, you can get the other ones. That's no problem. You don't have to be a hater about it. It's another option. And if I didn't have a 3DS, I would get it because I find it interesting. And truthfully, I don't really use the 3D option in my 3DS. I think it's bothersome. I think it makes me dizzy and my eyes strain, and it makes the battery last less. So
Yeah.
I think it's a good thing that Nintendo did that. And the only thing is, I was wondering how would you make your Nintendo DS sleep if you can't close it, but then I saw it has like a switch, right, for sleep mode.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I like it. I think I will get one for my boyfriend so he can play stuff with me, maybe Pokemon or something. So he can
Yeah.
give me all his Pokemons. Yeah, since he's not really a really big gamer, he can train them for me and then just give them to me.
We'll be back with more from Ricardo in just a minute. But first, here's a bit of listener feedback. Andy says, I lolled. As always, we want to give the following shoutouts to our podcasting friends, including GameBuoy.org, Game Bar, Cooper Club, Orange Lounge Radio, and VG Realness. Now, let's get back to more with Ricardo. I heard Paquito, like I heard him kind of. I heard a dog like running around and barking a little bit. Was that?
Yeah,
him,
it was him. I think he's downstairs and he always barks at people passing through the by the window, or he sometimes barks. You know, like when he's hungry and he wants food, he acts as a guard dog or something like that. So he runs, towards a direction and barks as if he's guarding or something like that. So he just acts. He manipulates us. He tries to do that by acting a lot.
Yeah. Saul, I want to say congratulations for Son of Noah, for Still Alive Studios, and for you. It just got greenlit. How are you feeling right now?
Well, I mean, it was cool, but it's hard to explain because I didn't get that much excited because I knew it would happen eventually. Because we were suddenly. Not that like suddenly, but maybe 1 month after the Kickstarter, we already were on the top 100, and we were going, closer and closer to the top 10. And I even thought that you had to be like top 10 to be greenlit, but apparently this last batch was all the games in the top 100. So I got surprised that we didn't have to reach the top 10, but I knew it would happen eventually, right? So. The thing that got me excited is that being greenlit means that probably publishers would be more interested in us since people want the game, so like we can sell it there. So it's not like something that maybe the publishers if we were on Greenlight and a publisher would like to back us. Since we already submitted the thing on Greenlight, they wouldn't be able to try to put it on Steam with their own contacts. They would have to wait for us to be greenlit. So since we are now greenlit, we don't have that as a as a wall or as a setback for us. So like being greenlit means that it's more likely that we get a publisher.
Yeah. And do you have like an example of a game before that has gone from green light to being picked up by a publisher?
You mean like from independent to have a publisher?
Yes.
Well, I really don't know. I'm not sure actually, because even though I'm an indie game developer, I don't play much indie games because usually they are like side scrollers. And I'm not into that genre. I, like Son of Noah is the game I'm making is a game I want to play, and it's a third-person action adventure, which probably there are some out there, but none that I know of or I'm attracted to. So I really need to play more indie games. But yeah, what I was saying is that I really don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Okay,
maybe
that's all
maybe
right.
Minecraft, but that wasn't on Steam, I think. Minecraft, I think they somehow sold different versions for the consoles,
Uh-huh.
but those versions are not made by them or something like that. I'm not sure actually.
Okay.
It's something I heard while listening to Orange Lounge Radio, so I don't know.
Okay. So can you give me a little bit more of a picture of like what exactly the process was for your project to actually get it on Greenlight? Was there a certain point in the Kickstarter process that you said, okay, now or as a team, you said, okay, now we put it on Greenlight?
So basically, what we did is that during our Kickstarter, we thought that it would be the best moment to put the game on Greenlight because you can be forever in Greenlight. There's no time limit or anything.
Hmm.
And Kickstarter, even though not all the people that go into the page in our Kickstarter page will back us, if we have the Greenlight, like going on, they
Hmm.
can click on it and just vote yes for us. If they don't have the money, maybe they can vote. So we thought we should take advantage of the traffic we would get through Kickstarter to guide people to Greenlight. So basically, that was how we made that decision
Oh, okay.
to get also at once our backers to support us on Greenlight, and while the thing is still fresh, instead
Hmm.
of okay, so it got funded, they will forget about it until it's out.
Hmm.
So the decision was made like that.
And can you talk about like what sort of reaction you've gotten from the media for Sonor? Like, what was it when you got it on Greenlight? When people started to actually get attention from that? Were you getting more media coverage at that time?
During Kickstarter,
Yeah.
well, about media coverage, it hasn't been that big, I think, in general. But although we have been featured in nice places like in Kotaku, PC Gamer, Rock Paper Shotgun, and I don't think the Kickstarter itself gave us more coverage until Julian, our team leader,
Hmm.
decided to uh, implement the emotive epoch, which is like a like a mind reading device into our
Hmm.
game, into Son of Nor. So since that's like pretty uncommon or weird or strange or like funny or looks fake or whatever, that got us a lot of coverage and a lot of. I think that's our most viewed video, the one where we show how to use it. And I think most of all that's what got people to pay attention to Son of Nor.
Yeah, I saw that you had like you do support some of this more experimental or like forward thinking peripherals like Oculus Rift and what you were just talking about. Can you like talk a little bit about the decision to incorporate those?
Yes. Well, basically, the reason we incorporated the mind reader, the emotive epoch, it was because Julian already had one, and he always wanted to play games with that. And since he's doing one, so why not do it with ours, right?
Hmm.
Basically, that's the reason for that one. The reason for the Oculus Rift was to I think I'm not pretty sure, but I think the main reason was to get more people interested in us. Maybe the people that already have the device or have backed for the device would be interested on buying games that support it.
Mm.
So basically, that's the other reason of why we support the Oculus Rift, because our game, of course, is not specifically made for it. It's more like an additional thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And I know that Still Alive, you're a distributed team. So were you able to test the game with the Emotive or the Oculus Rift?
Yes. I think Julian, since he's the leader and the main programmer,
Hmm.
he already tested the game with the emotive, and it works. Of course, it's not as fast as doing it with the mouse and keyboard until you have practice with it, because it has to recognize and learn your I don't know exactly how it works, but it's like those electric impulses in your brain, and also the muscle movement in your face.
Okay.
Which it has to start, like learning it and attach it to a function, to an action in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So at first it will be clunky or slow or whatever, but once you get used to it, like with everything else, it starts going smoothly. That's what I get, because I don't have one. He's in Austria, he has it there, so I haven't tried it. About the Oculus Rift, I couldn't say if he already tried it. I'm not sure, because we're distributed. I don't know what he has on his house.
Yeah.
I don't know if he has tried it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one thing that I wanted to bring up, because right after I saw your status on Facebook about Cinema getting greenlit on Steam, there was a piece that came out in Gamma Sutra that talked about the nature of greenlight, and I kind of wanted to get your reaction to this. They actually quote a developer of, it's a game, I get this call every day. The guy's name is David Gallant. He says, games are ranked by vote numbers. One game getting more votes knocks every other game behind it back in the ranking. It's incredibly demoralizing for developers, hurts camaraderie among developers, and helps sustain the false notion that these rankings actually matter. What do you feel? Do you feel like the process? Do you feel like it's unfair, or do you feel like it was a fair process?
Well, I didn't experience it like that. It may probably be like that, but from my perspective, it wasn't. Our main objective is to get the yes votes,
Mm-hmm.
and it also, those votes are from the community, and it's what the community wants. If maybe if your game is different, is artistic or something, maybe it's not something that everyone in the community has.
Mm-hmm.
Wants. So probably it will be harder to get the votes. For example, my ex-boyfriend, the Space Tyrant,
Mm-hmm.
the gay video game,
Mm-hmm.
it is on Steam, and it gets a lot of hate just because it's a gay game. And I don't think they will get greenlit unless someone on Steam makes it be like that. But it's us gays we are a minority, so we will get hate. So fortunately, our game, people like it, people vote for it, and since we work to get the word out there and let people know that we need the votes, was the main thing, to get people to know the game and to vote for it. Because if you put your game on greenlight and try and just wait for it, it will never happen. You have to do some kind of PR or advertising or whatever about the game being on greenlight, so people know about it.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
And what do you think about the actual, like, the overall community on Steam? Is it just like a vocal minority that's delivering all this hate towards a gay game like My Ex-Boyfriend, the Space Tyrant, or do you believe it's something a little bit more of the majority?
Well, I think that not just because it's gaming, although it is a fact that like gamers are very aggressive or hating stuff. That's usual, but it's also it's like a community forum or something like that it has anonymity. So whatever you do is not. It doesn't fall back on you. It has, so people do and say whatever they want. They just do it. It's like if you go to like IGN or something and start reading the comments, you will find a lot of hate. Almost in everything that there's comments, you will find hate.
Do you believe though that it's the do you believe though that this is sort of like the majority of the community that's voicing this hate, or do you believe it's just more of a vocal minority? Do you feel like there's
Yes, I think it's a vocal minority. I think the majority or the greatest part of the gamers in Steam don't talk at all. They just play. Maybe help each other on the forums of the games, but I think most people that go on Greenlight and are vocal and comment are people that believe they know a lot about doing a game. They could know about playing them, but they don't know about the process of making them. So we received a lot of comments. A lot of our comments were pretty nice, actually. The majority was very good feedback and positive always. But there were some few comments that said like, "Oh no, you have to go crazy with the powers, or else this game will suck," or "You have to do this and put mounts and an RPG system," and like as if it was that easy, like as if we had the budget for that and stuff. Or other people came in and commented, "Not my style of game, sorry, vote no." So then why do you vote? If it's not your style, doesn't mean you have to downgrade a project of another person. You just either stay neutral, or at least if it looks good in its own thing, vote for it. But just because you don't like that genre or something doesn't mean that the game is bad and should not be on Steam. So that's the only thing that I don't like about Steam, that the people that are vocal, at least, sometimes are very hateful, or just because doesn't go with their life or their likings, even though the game could be good, they vote no for it.
Okay. So it's a challenge of overcoming that vocal minority, but then it's also on the developer to actually do the PR, to do the advertising, to get the word out, so that some of this larger majority of gamers on Steam actually go to the green light and do the voting. Is that fair enough?
Yes, that's basically what you have to do. You have to try to overcome the hate. Although, even though a comment is hateful, you have to try to look the why of it, to find the actual feedback from it and how you can change towards better. And yes, the other challenge is to actually let people know your game is in there, because it could get easily lost in between all the good games, okay games, and bad games. You also have to really think how to get to the people. What you want to show. You have to pick a good video, good pictures, what could attract, like the profile pic, what could attract others to click on you. Maybe I don't know, like change it once or twice for people that haven't clicked before because the image wasn't attractive. And even the body of text that you're putting, is it long enough? Is it short enough? What is in there? And always also do updates and stuff, and answer the people. If you don't answer, they will feel like you don't care what they say. So you have to be there also, seeing, or at least make believe that you are listening to everyone. But yeah, I mean, even though you do everything good, you follow the steps for getting attention. Sometimes, as I said, there are stuff that, even though it's good, it won't be greenlit just because in real life those themes may have not been overcome yet, like homosexuality and stuff. So, for example, if that thing of that game of my ex-boyfriend, the Space Tyrant, is there, and maybe someone that decided to go into Greenlight sees it, and he's homophobic, and he has a website where he talks about games that has viewers, and he talks badly about it, and gets more bad press, more people to vote no, more people to do a scandal, stuff like that will happen. So you sometimes, even though people do video games independently to to make the games you want to play, about the themes you want to play, you have to always remember that this is a business, and sometimes if you want to enter the business, you have to do what people will accept and want. So if you want to do like an art game or a really strange game that maybe is too new or too different or too vanguardist or however the word is, you will have to prepare to either work a lot to get to sell it or to even give it out for free to at least have something out there. But at least that's my point of view. Of course, someone could have another one, but you have to. For me, you have to always remember that at the end, this is a business, and like in movies, you need money, and to get more money from it to do another one. So it's like that.
Okay. And from our talks before, I believe you mentioned that you were open with your development team. How do you feel you interact with the community as a gay game developer?
Well, I'm kind of how do I explain? I wasn't really that open with my team before GaymerX. I mean, it's in my Facebook. I have them on Facebook. They could see it. They could, they by logic they could have reasoned it, but I never said it out front because I never found it necessary to do that. And also, I didn't know what. Although they are nice, really nice people, my team is really good. I don't know what they are. What are their thoughts about this? So I never told them. But I think that after GaymerX, it was pretty obvious. So now I'm a little bit more open. Although I don't talk about it because I don't need it. I don't need to talk about it, and they don't ask me either. They ask me stuff like, "Oh, so how was GaymerX?" or stuff like that. But it's not like they have that kind of curiosity about other stuff like, "Ooh, do you have a boyfriend?" or stuff like that.
No.
So, and yeah, basically that. And about the community and stuff, I don't tell people either, or I don't try to sell myself as the game member of Stillalive Studios because it could, even though it's not like I'm proud of it, but it could hurt the team in some way. Maybe there could be, like someone that is homophobic and start attacking the team. And I don't want to be responsible for something bad happening to the team, like bad publicity or something. So it's not like I keep it secret, but I don't flaunt it. So I try to avoid it. And it's not something that bothers me because, it's not like I have to be out there. It's not something that I need. So it's okay for me.
So you have questions about like how GaymerX was for you. What did you actually have these questions? What did you tell your team?
Well, basically, someone said like, "Oh, there's a convention for gay gamers," and I was like, "Yeah." And another one said, "Oh, is David Gator? Is that the name?"
Yeah.
Is David Gator gay? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, oh, interesting. Like, it's like, oh, surprise, there are gay people in the game industry. I didn't know. It felt like that at least. And then they asked me, oh, did you meet a lot of game designers? And I was like, I think so, but I'm not really sure because there wasn't like anything about that. Then did you meet a lot of people? Did you get, basically it was business questions. Did you get press things? Who will you contact? And stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
So basically those were the questions. They weren't like questions about gayness and stuff.
And your answers, you said, oh, I had a great time.
Oh yeah, it was good. I liked it. I would come back next year if I can, and stuff like that.
Okay.
It wasn't like a long conversation. It was more like loose questions here and there. Maybe they were also maybe they didn't want to delve into the subject, or maybe they just didn't care enough. I don't know.
Okay. So we covered the way that Greenlight is set up. I do want to talk a little bit about the way that Kickstarter is set up, because we had some conversations before about say more the name developers like Tim Schafer or the Project Phoenix with Nobuo Uematsu, and you have a lot of people with actual established names getting into Kickstarter. How do you feel that impacts independent developers?
Well, I think that is bad for independent developers because, these guys, they already have their fame, they already have games out there that has a fan base. They have somehow proved they can do good games.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're a fan of, for example, I don't know, like Psychonauts,
Mm-hmm.
if Tim Schafer comes and tells you, hey, I can make a new game, I just need $20 from you, you will of course give it to him because you like his games. But if there's some unknown person that's making this game for the first time, or you haven't heard of him before, or the game doesn't look that good because they don't have a big company behind them, or they don't have a team, you probably won't give them money. So you decide to spend your $20 on Tim Schafer instead of this guy that is trying to make it.
Mm-hmm.
And even sometimes there could be a very, very good game that is from someone that no one has ever heard about.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, who will you give the money? Tim Schafer or this unknown guy with a possibly cool game?
Yeah.
So that's the problem, Many people say that, oh, but it's just like $15 or stuff. I mean, anyone could give $15 if they really want to, but that's not true because sometimes other people have a budget and you say like, okay, this month I only have $20 to give in Kickstarter, so who am I going to choose? And that month is the month that X project goes live and it's the only chance they have.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe those $15 are what they need from X amount of people that happen to go through that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, basically that. There was this Kickstarter from Zach Braff where he got like, I don't know, like 9 million or something like that for his movie. I'm not really sure.
Mm-hmm.
4 million, I don't know. And he said as a reason of why he was doing the Kickstarter was that he wanted creative freedom that he couldn't get from a company or from a distributor or publisher for his movie. Mm-hmm. But then like 1 month after his Kickstarter was done, he got a deal where he got like 8 million more for his movie or something like that. And where is his only reason was creative freedom, but now he gets a deal. So why did you go to Kickstarter first? Mm-hmm. Also, people, other Kickstarter people said like, you got all this money that could have gone to other projects, and he replied no, I brought the majority of people to Kickstarter because of my movie, mm-hmm. and that they weren't in there before. And I don't think that that's necessarily true. Mm-hmm. But anyways, those people that weren't before in there, they wouldn't have made a difference for other projects, but the people that was before there would have made a difference. Mm-hmm. So anyways, all that money, I don't know. I mean, it seems unfair to compete. It's like, you're making your first game and your competition is Tim Schafer. What are you going to do, right?
Yeah.
So I think that this is really unfair, and that's a problem with Kickstarter. Of course, there are projects that get funded and all, and that's good for them, but it's unfair for a lot of other people that maybe don't know about PR or how to make a really good video or stuff, but their project itself is good. Mm-hmm. And I think that something has to be done with this. or I think eventually Kickstarter will start to fall or something. I think, but maybe not. Who knows? Because people get tired of it. People get tired of backing stuff. I remember that Kickstarter was before this great, very cool thing, and then all these famous people started getting there, and now people are not in the mood of just giving away money to help other projects, but they are now like, okay, so what's the best for me? They are not in the helping mood. They are now in what can I get mood. So also I think this Kickstarter stuff, it could be used by publishers and other companies to first get the money for making the game. So meaning that it won't represent loss if it fails or it's bad. And it also will make publishers test the developers' acceptance from the public.
Yeah.
So, let's see first if your game is accepted by the public. So do a Kickstarter, and then we'll talk about money or stuff like that. So it will be even harder for indie developers to get a publisher behind them because they will have to go through all these steps. I think that's a possibility, but who knows, right?
Yeah. I mean, even right now, the way that kind of public interest is gauged, you can look at like a situation like with Capcom where they'll say like Mega Man Legends 3 or Darkstalkers or any other franchise that they kind of have kind of put to the side right now. They kind of gauge fan interest by like, well, we need questions from like at least 100,000 people, or else we think that the interest isn't there. So there are kind of inefficient ways that publishers do gauge public interest, and I really don't know if publishers truly understand what the public wants. So I think that in some ways a Kickstarter could help, but it does take away the focus from the independent developers who are just starting up.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just look at what happened with this game, Acanero, which was a spicy horse game, the ones that made Alice Madness Returns. They made this Kickstarter for Acanero, and the game at the end totally sucked according to reviews. But they didn't lose anything, so no biggie.
Yeah.
And they have games, they have contacts. Why do they need to go to Kickstarter? They say creative freedom mostly, but I don't think that's right. That's not good, and that's not honest for them to do. They have contacts, they have ways to get money that independent developers don't, and they are taking the chances for them. They're taking the chances away.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's cool.
Yeah. And before Gamer X, you said that you were in the United States multiple times before. Can you kind of talk about what your experiences were in the United States before you came this year?
Yeah, well, the first time I went to United States, it was when I was like 11, I think. It was to Miami for vacations with my parents, and we went on a cruise. And it was okay. I mostly spent time inside the ship. I didn't want to go down into the islands and stuff because I wasn't interested about that kind of things back then. So I was just interested in eating stuff from the restaurant on the ship and stuff like that. And well, I was in Miami. I went to Orlando, went to Universal, Disney. Went to Tampa, but I think I cannot say that I know Miami because I was always inside someone's house or in a park or in a mall. So I wasn't there for sightseeing or being a tourist. I was just there to buy stuff. Then I went to New York 3 times, not long ago, and from the 3 times I was there, I only enjoyed it once because friends from here went too. And I had a good time being with them, hanging out with them, going to places with them. But other than that, I didn't think New York was that great. I thought it was a very dirty city. I thought it had a lot of crazy people. And I thought, like, if this is the greatest city of United States, like they always paint it, I don't think I would ever like to live in United States. But it was also I'm open-minded, so I also thought that maybe from my perspective, what my money could buy, the friends or the people I hang out with, made it look like it wasn't a great city. But in compared to with my experience in San Francisco for the first time, which was when I went to Gaymer, I thought that San Francisco was a very beautiful city, great people, great views, and it felt like a city I would like to live in.
Yeah.
And I thought it was New York next to San Francisco is nothing. So.
Wow.
Yeah, for me it felt like that. But I don't live in the United States. I don't really know the differences. But as a tourist, San Francisco is much, much better. Yeah. But who knows? Maybe that experience was like that because I hang out with you and Anthony.
Oh.
Yeah, maybe if it wouldn't be like that, maybe it would have sucked. So I don't know.
Well, is that like more like the type of person that you are, that you like to kind of like, you're a little bit more of a homebody, that you like to stay inside and just kind of be at rest?
Yeah, I'm the kind of person that likes to be inside like in my room, resting, watching a movie, browsing through the internet and stuff like that. I like that. And usually if I go to another country for tourism, unless I'm really, really, really interested in the city, or in the country, like for me, the one I'm most interested in is Japan. If I'm not that interested in the city, for me, the experience won't be that great because I'm not even a good tourist. Let's go see the Golden Gate Bridge or the Statue of Liberty. And I'm like, well, I can see that from Google Pictures. For me, it's more, I think, of the experience of being with other people, what they say, what they talk, where we go, what we do together, eating together. So I think I'm more of a people's person, but not in huge groups, more in like close, small groups.
Okay, so you rely on like a smaller group of friends to actually kind of guide you through whenever you go somewhere.
Well, not necessarily guide me, but to have the experience together.
Okay.
Like a party in a massive multiplayer. It's nice.
Yeah. So where else have you traveled to besides the United States?
Well, I've been in Peru because my father's family is there. My father is Peruvian. I've also been in Buenos Aires, Argentina, because my sister studies there, fashion. She studies fashion. Oh, she already graduated. I've also been in Austria and in Spain. I've been in Europe. I was in Europe for the first time this year because the main leader from Still Alive Studios, he lives in Innsbruck, Austria, and we decided that at least the team leaders should meet, and we prepare a trip to stay at Julian's home in Innsbruck. So I went first to Spain, stayed there like 2 or 3 days, which I think I spent most of the time there sleeping. Oh, because I was jet lagged, so I didn't experience Madrid at all. And then I flew to Munich, which is Germany, and since it's really close to Innsbruck, Julian picked us up in Munich's airport, and then we stayed in Innsbruck for like 2 weeks. we of course went out and stuff, and it was, it was okay, an okay town. I think it was town, not a city. I'm not sure.
Uh-huh.
It was okay, but it's not like, ooh, I went and saw the nightlife and stuff like that. No, I mostly stayed inside Julian's home, working towards the Kickstarter campaign and stuff like that. And we went for like 2 days to Vienna, which I thought was very, very pretty. It was a really pretty city. The only thing I didn't like is that there wasn't anything on English, It was everything on German. And I was thinking, like, isn't Vienna like a very touristic city? How come it doesn't have signs in English? Which is pretty common to find in almost any city in the United States.
Yeah.
Like Spanish or Chinese or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, it didn't have anything in English. So that's the only thing I didn't like.
Wow.
But Vienna, it's really pretty. So yeah, basically I've been to San Francisco, New York, Miami, Buenos Aires, Lima, Madrid, and Innsbruck and Vienna.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And so the the European trip was it actually was a bit more of a business trip. So you weren't really there for sightseeing or anything like that.
Yeah, I wasn't there for sightseeing. I was the intention of the trip was more of a business one, and to also get to know each other in person, the group, because we're a distributed team. We only talk through Skype and Hangout. So I think it was also used to bond even more.
Yeah. And how do you determine who handles the marketing and the public relations for Still Alive Studios?
I think it was just a process of elimination. Who has the most time to do this kind of stuff, and at the same time has a good grasp of English, or knows how to behave, or is someone you can trust. So by process of elimination, it was me and Chris, which is the sound guy. And also, I think Chris being part of the PR is a really, really good decision, because he has a lot of experience. He is a very peaceful person. He knows how to talk. If you have seen the Death Diaries, he really talks very good. He knows, besides talking really good English, he really knows what words to say, how to treat people. And also, I think his way of thinking is really good. So I really respect Chris. I mean, he's in my high standards. He's like up there for me, at least. And so yeah, basically it's him because it's obvious, and me as a support.
Yeah.
Because I have more time than other people. That since I'm the game designer. Most of my work is already done by when production starts, and since I'm the writer, most of my writing work, it's almost at the end after all the changes have been done, so I don't have to change the dialogue depending on what changes. So basically in this downtime I work as a PR or the person that handles forums or Facebook or Twitter and stuff.
So do you have like a sort of like a plan, or like is it just sort of like the task as they come about? Because it seems very organized. It seems like a very professional and very thought out sort of campaign that you guys have going on.
Well, actually the only plan we have is that we release every Sunday a Death Diary, which updates everyone with what has been happening with the game. And that's the only thing that is planned. Chris is in charge of the Death Diaries, and he turns with Julian. So 1 week in Julian, 1 week in Chris. And I once, at first when the Death Diaries began, it was going to be from the perspective of a team member, turning, like first Chris, then Julian, then me, then Adrian, or whatever. But that didn't work out because not all of us had good microphones. Not all of us had, it was much more effort to that
Yeah.
towards that. So at the end, it just ended up being Chris and Julian, and we basically just released a dev diary every week that lasts between 3 and 6 minutes, and that is something that gave us a little bit of a push when the Kickstarter started, because we already had like a small fan base. And people seem to really enjoy the dev diaries because we not only show, but we also try to make them entertaining. Sometimes Chris makes jokes with the game,
Yeah.
or he, funny comments. We try to make it entertaining.
Yeah.
One of the highlights for me of one of the dev diaries was when the main character died. There was a problem with the ragdoll physics that he went into T mode. T mode is when the character is in T pose.
Uh-huh.
So like, with the arms extended and the feet, like a strange rigid pose.
Yeah.
So it was funny because Julian made a video that we had some Jesus problems because the character died in a T pose. So it was very it wasn't to insult religious people, but it was really funny. And that was one of the highlights for me. But yeah, anyways, we have built, like a following through the dev diaries. Now, I don't know how many subscribers we have in YouTube, but our dev diaries get usually around 1,000 views.
Oh, wow.
At least, or around that. Maybe a little bit less, but almost always 1,000.
Okay.
I think. Not sure, but I think it is like that. And, well, yeah, after the dev diaries, we try to, have people interested. We at least post minimum twice a week stuff like pictures, screen caps of the game, maybe some fan art that someone made, maybe like an update where if one of our team members is in certain convention or something, maybe a question like how would you call this character or something like that. We try to make the people be engaged.
Yeah.
Because if you forget about the people, they also forget about you. So yeah, we try to always give content and also hear them and give feedback and receive feedback, and we try to make the people feel like they are being listened. I think I'm pronouncing it right. Listen.
Yeah.
Yeah, we always try to reply. We always reply emails, everything. We always try to be, there. Sometimes it's hard because there's a lot of comments, or sometimes it's hard because we are not, only doing PR. That's part of our things to do. We are also working on the game itself. We don't have a PR department. We don't have, like a public relationships only person. We are also doing other stuff. So it's sometimes a little bit hard to maintain the overview of things.
Yeah.
But we try.
Yeah. Now, can you tell me a little bit more about the forums, the community that you have on the forums, like how large that community is, and how the people are on the forums?
Well, so far I'm not sure how many members in the forums we have, but I think it should be around 150 or 100.
Okay.
Not much yet. I think it will increase eventually, or when the game releases. Usually, for now, there hasn't been any negative thing on the forums. The people are really nice. They are really very interested in the game. They want it to be good. They expect to be good. They are really friendly. They always try to give suggestions or like try to give us feedback that is positive to make us feel good. And we sometimes also engage them by, if they are in the backers only forums, we sometimes give them sneak peeks of of I don't know, a certain enemy or of the Death Diary that is going to be released on Sunday. And we sometimes also ask questions like, how would you think this city would look like with this description, or how would you name the Sand Dragon, stuff like that. We try to also get them engaged, since the community is a little bit small in the forums right now, and also since the game is not out, they don't have much to talk about. But of course, they could get the sandbox demo that we have out there, which is $5, and it's actually just like a sandbox. You just fool around, and if you get to play it cooperative with someone else, you can kill each other. But basically, that's it, because we're still in pre-alpha state, so we don't have like a very good demo to get out there. So I think that's the reason of why the forum is still small. But I think once the game is out, at least it will increase. It will be more complex and stuff.
Okay. So you have you had the Kickstarter. You also have Steam Greenlight. You talked a little bit about YouTube and of course the community forums. What other forms of social media have you engaged people in, and what do you feel is like the most effective way of engaging people?
I think the most effective way of engaging people is to try to be everywhere that has people and unify it somehow. For example, we are in Tick Source, we are in IndieDV, we are in Unity forums, we are in several places, but we engage the people on those places with the Death Diaries. So we post every Sunday the new Death Diary in those forums and those places, and we engage the people with that, and we reply to comments. So we do one thing, but put it in those different channels, and we did it almost from the beginning because we knew that we needed people to start following us from early stages if we wanted to make it. Because there are sometimes, I think there are indie groups that they develop their game but never tell anything about it. So when it comes out, it's totally unknown. No one has ever heard about it. So people, it's more unlikely that people will give it a chance. But if you have people excited from very early, and those people will talk to other people, and the fan base will eventually grow, and they will be your main backers. They will be always there, and if you treat them well, they will be what's the word? Loyal. Yeah. And they will try to help you if you treat them well too. So they will get the voice out there. They will do sometimes even the work for you in terms of PR and stuff. So what I recommend to indie developers is to start documenting your progress from early and start showing stuff early, and and engage people and even surprise them as at first your game will look like crap. And people will say it looks ugly, it sucks, but eventually those people will get surprised on how the game changes. And that's what happened to us, because if you go through our IndieDV, you will see that our earlier models were really weird, were really ugly, but then the game progressed and changed and looked better, and people was like surprised about that and really liked it. Yeah. So that's what I recommend, like start showing your stuff from the beginning.
Now, you didn't actually come into the team like right at the beginning. You came in a little bit later in the development process. Can you talk a little bit about changes you might have implemented in the game that might have made the game a little bit better?
Yeah, of course. Well, first I joined the team last year around March. So it has been over a year since I joined, and they were already starting to build a prototype, and at first, since I haven't done any games, I'm from Ecuador, what the fuck is Ecuador? Where is that? And stuff like that. I didn't have like a huge esteem on what people could think about me. So I pointed low. I aimed low. So since I was trying to get into the game industry, I was researching on how to get in it. I decided I wanted to move to Canada and try it there. Maybe I read a lot of books, a lot of forums on how to break into the game industry. And as I said, I decided to move to Canada, which I'm still working towards that. And I said like, okay, I will try to get a job as a tester, as QA, which is basically an entry job, and from there you grow.
Yeah.
So one day reading the forums, I found Julian and Still Alive Studios, which had a completely different logo. They were looking for people to join them as contribution, unpaid, to make this game called Son of Nor. And I saw a video which lasted like 8 minutes with some gameplay and stuff, and it wasn't AAA, it wasn't that great and stuff, or it didn't look smashing or awesome. It was interesting for me. It was really interesting. So I decided to apply, and since I had read before that usually you try to apply as QA if you don't have any experience, I did that. I applied as QA. I said, okay, I want to help with this game. I want to be a tester. I don't have experience on anything else. I don't know how to program. I have some artist skills, but more as a designer than an illustrator. So maybe I could help. So I applied. They interviewed me. It was Chris and Julian, because those two are the founders. And they gave me the game, a small build of the game. I tested it. I played it. And I liked some stuff, I didn't like some stuff, and they asked me for my honest opinion. And I said, well, for me this is too slow, this doesn't work, this could be changed into that. And I gave also solutions on what could have been done or what could be done to improve the game. And at least from what I gathered, they liked it. And they decided to make me the game designer and the writer. Or I think it was just the game designer, but since I also provided writing stuff, they really liked it, and they decided to make me the writer. I can't say that I change stuff because it's a teamwork. Everything affects each other.
Yeah.
Everyone makes decisions along with other people too. It's not like I say this and this has to be done. I have to talk to Julian, know what he thinks, if he likes it, what could be a little bit modified to work even more stuff. But I think that one of the main things that I was able to improve was part of the gameplay in terms of before you had to create a spell outside of the player, so to say, like invoke it and then take it with telekinesis and then throw it, which it was too long, and we changed it to, I feel really uncomfortable saying I change it because I don't feel it that way. So I said we change it into being like you take the spell from the environment and then release it. It's not like you have to cast it or something. So the game eventually started changing and evolving and being iterated, and finally ended up being what it is now, which is a game that the environment matters. You take everything from the environment, the elements, the sand, the objects. You can combine them and basically wreak havoc in it. So yeah, I mean, of course, after I entered the team, there were big changes that were done, but it's not like I made them. We all made them.
Okay.
Yeah.
And without being too spoilerish or anything like that, can you talk a little bit about the story of the game and what contributions you made as a game writer?
Yeah. Basically, when I came in, there wasn't really a story. there was just like a base of what the world is.
Uh-huh.
You know, like, okay, there are these races. The most of the world is desert because it had to go along with the gameplay, which is terraforming. These races are like this, these ones are like that, which is stuff that Julian wrote. And then what I did is take that base and make a story out of it. And not only I wrote the main story, but I also created the horizon, so to say. The horizon, what I mean by that is backstory that doesn't really affect the main story of the game, but it gives a sense of depth to the world. So you feel like it's big, that it's not something really enclosed, or you know that there are reasons for stuff happened in the past, you know, stuff like that. Even when you in our game, if you get to play it, if you are observant enough and try some stuff, you will know that there's an underlying story behind the main one. You know, there's a stuff happening behind, and you know there are other things going on at the same time. And I don't want to spoil it for you, but only people that wish to go and look further will find a bigger horizon, so to say.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Of course, I'm not trying to say that we're like Skyrim with books here and books there and stuff like that, but I think that if this game is successful enough, it could grow up to be like that. You know, to be like a huge game with a lot of lore and different interesting races and things going on in the world and stuff.
Yeah. At least from what I've seen so far, that it does seem to be like a really good, compelling base of a story that you can expand on. So, you know, I'm really interested to see what you guys come up with next.
Yeah, and basically, you know, the main story of the game is, because of budget, is a little bit basic in the terms of we have a hero that is mute. There is not as much as NPCs because most of the levels are action based. The only town you meet is the first one, and there's the most NPCs are there. We are really constrained by budget, but we always try to give, you know, a really good product and stuff. And the story is basic on terms of, you know, heroics, like the typical hero that does this and does that and defeats the bad guy. But I think maybe some people will like the twists of certain things that I'm putting in. I don't want to be spoilish, but there are some interesting, simple but yet interesting things that will give a little bit of sauce to the story, I think.
Oh wow!
Yeah, a story with sauce.
So is it? Huh?
A story with sauce.
Story with sauce.
So, what's sauce?
No. Well, yeah. What? How do you define sauce?
Sauce, like, you know what you put on your food, sauce.
Oh, okay.
You know? So it's tastier.
Yeah.
So it's a good one. So it's probably a Spanish way of talking. So
No, it's good. It's good. What sort of things you feel have influenced you as a game writer? Is it other games that you played before, things that you've read, things that you've watched?
well, I'm really I try to consume a lot of stuff, and I think I really do. I watch a lot of series. I try to play different kinds of games. I read different kinds of books, and I also like real life history. So I think, you know, for me, at least in my part of the work, I'm really influenced by a lot of different things. And also you have to count in the influences of the other team members. And, you know, it's a real different mix because we are also from different parts of the world where different historic things have happened, different kinds of views of different things, you know. So sometimes things are like that. So I don't know. I'm also trying to in the story, for example, I also try to put in a little bit of Ecuador because even though I'm pretty sure that other people from other Ecuadorians work in the game industry, I haven't seen any kind of direct reference or thing towards Ecuador, at least that I know of. So, for example, one of the cities that you will visit in the game, it's called Quill, which is the last part of my city, which is Guayaquil or Guayaquil. So it's called Quill. The pickable objects, some pickable unlockable things that you will pick up are based on the Venus of Valdivia, which is a town in here in Ecuador. Venus of Valdivia is like like the statue representing the indigenous woman. So it's based on that, So the Venus of Bolivia it's like an old statue, that a small ceramic thing that was found at some point in time that was taken as the representation of the indigenous woman of the times before the colony. So, I asked the artist to base the object that you pick up out of that. So I try to put in as much as I can from Ecuador without breaking the story or something like that, Sometimes I also take from other historic things. For example, there is a character that is called Bouchard, and he is from a family of explorers. He's Bouchard the Fourth, and according to the lore, Bouchard the First was the one that found the Rakiri tablet, which is like the Son of Norworld Rosetta Stone.
Okay.
For an ancient civilization. So Bouchard, which is spelled like this, it's like some kind of way of making it sound like Bouchard, or I don't know how to pronounce it in French, which is the actual founder of the Rosetta Stone.
Okay.
So, I also sometimes, if I'm out of creativity, I do that, which I think it's totally fine.
Yeah.
So, yeah, sometimes I do that too. I take from other historic events and other historic people, and mirror it to the fiction.
Yeah.
How many times have you seen stories in video games that mirror World War II and the Nazis?
Plenty.
Yeah, it's almost always like that, and I think it's fine. At least if you give it a twist or something new, it's totally fine.
Yeah. Well, I think that like if it's more grounded in the real world, if it's more warlike, then you do see a lot of like World War II. If it's mythology, it's usually like a Greek or Roman or Norse mythology. So for you to bring a little bit of Ecuador, to bring a little bit more of like the indigenous culture as well, I think that that's something that's it's important that you're able to even get like the little bits in there, so people can probably look it up. But they'll get like a little curious about like what the origins of these things are, and then they'll be able to learn a little bit more about where you're from.
Yeah, I really hope. I'm that kind of person that spends hours and hours at looking at fun facts of games, or did you know gaming and stuff like that. And I'm really excited. I get really excited when I think that if Son of Nor gets to be really good and famous and a success, I hope that happens with my game. Like see other people doing videos about, oh, did you know that Quill is based on the game designer's city, Guayaquil? That would be amazing for me.
Yeah.
It would feel really great.
Yeah. Well, you heard it here first, folks.
Where did you hear it first? It was talking about video games with Neshoba. Sorry, I think I didn't get the name well.
Oh, well,
Neshoba talks about video games with you. You heard it first there.
You heard it first here. Do you have like anything that maybe somebody out there that's aspiring to be in the industry. You have like any words of wisdom or advice for them?
Yes, the first one is never give up.
Uh-huh.
I went through a couple of groups here in my city to develop games, and they didn't work out. But I didn't fall down. I looked for ways, always look for ways to get what you want. Like for example, what I did was I thought of moving to another country, which I'm still going to do. But during the forums I checked, I found people that were looking for other people to help, to contribute, and I did that. I worked for free for almost a year, and now it's a full-time job. And never give up. Always try to find solutions or alternatives. Sometimes the easiest answer is the best one. Don't try to get too complicated. Don't expect your first game to be World of Warcraft. Aim low. Aim low and grow from there. And work hard. Basically, be smart. Just that, I think. And also, if you're making a group, have the head to know if your group is good, if it is going somewhere. You don't have to, of course, always be polite and stuff, but if you think your group is not going anywhere, you don't have to stay with them just because. You can find others, and always be honest and loyal. That's it.
Yeah, good. That's it for our talk with Ricardo. You can ask him more about Son of Nor at Kikitosorio. That's KIKITOSAURIO. And for more of my nonsense, follow me at Neshoba78. And so, from Boston Harbor to the Bay Area, good night, good morning, across the nation, around the world, whenever, wherever. This is Neshoba, signing off.